This is That Exciting Dude, and you know the drill. That's right, this is That Exciting Dude, and welcome to Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans. To quickly address one thing, as you know, there was no video for last week. When I mentioned I was going to do a video podcast along with the podcast voice. The reason why is because, for whatever reason, the program did not want to capture any sound. So, I'll have to do a couple test runs to really get things worked out and kinked out so I can randomly throw in some video podcasts. But until then, we are going to start with the intro for the podcast. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and bring this down just a little bit more. Felt like that was a little high. Maybe not, maybe so. Alright, first we're going to start with a quote. I know I don't always put a quote in, but here we go. This quote is by Albert Einstein, and anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. Let me tell you, I know about that all too well. Alright, welcome to Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans. As I stated earlier, I am your captain speaking, that exciting dude, or as some people say, Ted. Hit the follow button, whistle, dragon, whatever it is for you. To hear more of this voice, I am on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Deezer, Castbox, Apple, Podchaser, and YouTube. Lastly, I need to give thanks to Brock Hewitt, Stories and Sound, called Ages Ago. Group Heartmans, and their sound is called Paradise Island. Tropicana, which is actually what I started with the background music with. It's Sound Roll, and their music was called Tropicana. Sorry, I have that backwards. I don't know why these last two I have backwards. And then by Yoko Nap, Airplane Mode. I really need to fix that. But anyhow, all of these are from upbeat.com. UPPBAT.com. Speaking of upbeat.com, it's been a minute since I've gone there to get my next 3 free backgrounds. I do have one slot open. I could replace a couple. But why replace all good stuff? Alright, so moving along to the sports. Let me get my cheat sheet up here. Looking at the sports, if you don't like sports, you're going to probably want to squeeze ahead about 5 minutes. Otherwise, it is time for sports. Sports. Sports is the next topic. What's next? It's sports. Guess what? It's time for sports. Oh yeah, sports. Alright. I mean, not a crazy much is going on in the NFL world, but the coaches had a all coaches meeting, so all 32 coaches from the 32 teams had their meeting in Florida, and part of that meeting, they all passed a new rule of tackling. Pretty much it's starting to turn football into flag football. Now, it's not flag football, so don't quote me on that, but I'm just simply saying that the direction that they're going with all these stupid rules, it's starting to turn into flag football. It's not flag football, so don't get that in the head. I'm just using it as a term of how easy and boring it's going to become. Basically, it states that you can't tackle someone from the waist down by grabbing onto the hips and or one of their legs and like dragging them down or holding onto their pants or or their jerseys, or at least that's how I understood it. I really didn't read a ton more in depth of it. Only watched one person really talk about it, and they basically started out by saying they're just making the NFL a joke and turning it into flag football. You know, the next NFL player that just retired last year, and a lot of other, I know, hosts have spoke their minds as well across the media on how asinine this rule is. Another rule that all I know is this the headline for it. I did not look into it. Is the kickoff rule, and all I heard is this one could definitely use some improvement to how they are implementing it or know what's going on. I did not look into it, so I'm gonna fortunately put the homework into your lap to look into the new rule for kickoffs. Let's see, we are a month away from everyone getting to the draft, which will be in Michigan. It'll be in Detroit, to be exactly. And that's about it for football. I mean, everyone's just gearing up. A lot of speculations of who's going to draft who, and all we can do is wait until the draft to see who picks who. In the NHL, my Red Wings are having a few W's, which is good. But they're still having some losses. I think their odds of making the playoffs in about 17 days are slim to none, considering that they probably need to win every game here on out, and that's to possibly make it. I really haven't looked at the odds, but if I had to guess, it would probably be something to that nature. Let's see, Major League Baseball opening day for all the rest of the baseball to start the season will be today. And that's about all for that. Again, I'm not a baseball person, but I might try to throw some in. Being in Michigan, I will probably only put the Tigers in, considering that where I am located, Chicago is fairly near as well, so maybe I'll throw the Cubs in there and the White Sox, which are both stationed in Chicago. I haven't decided what I want to do with the baseball because, like I said, I am not a baseball person. But with NFL kind of on a limp, to give you a little more sports, I just might do that. And then on NCAA, all I can say is we're in the Sweet 16 bracket. I could mention all the teams, but then by the time we get to next week, we're going to be to the finals practically, and so much has changed, and it just won't be worth it, considering how fast-paced that tournament goes. So, yeah. So now it's time to move on to the subject of the podcast. And all I'm going to say is this is a very interesting podcast. Read, I should say, that I had. It's not something that I haven't read before. I've read a very immense amount of information pertaining to in relations of this article. And yeah, we're going to go from there. But before we go forward, as you all know, gotta let you know how the rules go. Every now and then I like to take a drink, and when I like to take a drink, I just say drink, and that's when you get that little bit of silence. It's because I'm taking a sip of water. Normally, so I do like to tell you what's in front of me. I do have water, and I do have a beer. Well, since we aren't in video, I can tell you what it is. It's all-day IPA from Founders. So to start off, I'm going to go drink. Nice beer will help me sleep tonight before work tomorrow. Alright, so this article is from CNN. There are 2 paragraphs that I didn't want to really paraphrase. I just wanted to read them straight of how it was written from the author that I did not grab. But I'm just going to say I found this on CNN in the Asian section. And we'll go from there. Alright, so the title reads, She fled North Korea, but was sold to a man in China. Her second escape came nearly 20 years later. Alright, from Seoul, South Korea, Chae-ran, who is 35 years old, surrounded by white walls, a bedroll, and a small table, and only 2 photographs from her past life. This is home to her. And let me tell you, after I heard this story, all I can say is, wow. I'd be damn glad to be calling this home too. Alright, so Chae-ran is just one amongst a number of women who have fled the People Republic of Korea, or as we know it, North Korea. Only to be trafficked and sexually exploited in China, where there is a great black market for that sort of thing and brides. For safety reasons, Chang is not really her real name, but is changed for this article purpose, since she still has family in China and North Korea. And I didn't put an asterisk at this point, but side note from the story. So, like I said, I've done a very extensive amount of research with North Korea. It's been fascinating. I think it's fascinating. And anyone that doesn't know what goes on, basically, when you become a defector from North Korea, and let's say North Korea government finds out who you are, they kill your family, or they put them in a prison camp, then eventually kill your family. So that's why a lot of them get out, and they're just very secretive. They change their names, and then the few that do articles like this, I mean, there's a reason why their names are changed, and there's no pictures of her in this article, hence because the North Korea government can, track down by pictures who this is, and again, get after the family. So it's important for the protection, but it's also, I think, important that a lot of these articles are getting published, because it just reiterates just how North Korea is and how they function versus a lot of the rest of the world. Alright, back to the article. Let's see here. So Chang managed to stage another escape 2 decades later through the Laos and Thailand, but since COVID-19, those same routes have decreased tremendously and some paths closed, leaving several North Koreans who want to escape trapped in North Korea. This article is kind of weird because it really bounced around, so I tried to take some of the notes and just kind of put it in a chronological order. But like I said, the way it was written, it does kind of bounce around. So we're just going to have to work with it, because I am just doing the notes in order as I was reading it. Like I said, there's a couple that I kind of threw up over here or down over there, because it went with those sections, even though it wasn't exactly there in the article. But so you're just gonna have to bear with it, unfortunately. Back to the article here and my notes. So basically, Che's first escape was right after she finished high school, And believe it or not, she said that her job when she was in high school was a coal miner. I guess her whole family was a coal miner, pretty much everyone in her village, and even the villages that were near her village, which was near the Chinese border. Again, probably for safety reasons, couldn't exactly say what section of the border, because anything to give away a location could, probably mean, somebody trying to find out who her family is. But anyhow, let's see. Through her time growing up, she has witnessed many people crossing the river from North Korea to China. So, again, yeah. So one day, she just got up. Let's see. So one day, she just upped and left. She didn't tell a soul about her plan, except for her friend that she was traveling with. And she just left via a broker. To break down what a broker is basically a person who helps, orchestrates a journey for an escapee for a certain amount of money. So let's see. She said, remembering the escape with she escaped with a close friend. She remembers that it was autumn. The river was very clear. It was actually still light when they crossed the river. Yeah, and that's where that article, that paragraph ended. Like I said, some of these paragraphs were just like funny how they just stopped from like one random thing and then moved to this next. Let's see. Once they reached the other side, they were quickly put into vehicles and they're driven to northwest China, where they were given a choice to either entertain at a bar or marry a Chinese man. Now, I'm sure the entertain at a bar was probably being a stripper. Would be my choice, because she was like, because basically she goes on and says the thought of being an entertainer at a bar just made her very upset and distraught and just overwhelmed. So that left her with only one choice, and that was marrying a Chinese man. So shortly after she chose that, she was separated from her friend, introduced to this Chinese man that she didn't even like. She didn't want to be with him, but she was afraid of what was going to happen next in this trade slave program she found herself in. So she just didn't say anything and just dealt with being with this short Chinese guy. So she went to the man's village, which was in the Hebei province, which is northwest China. I'm sure I butchered that, so I apologize. In this village, she said that the houses were made of mud and sticks and had no windows. But what was in place of windows was like rice paper. And it was always falling apart. Let's see. So this next part I took directly from... Go ahead and drink. So this next part I took directly from the article. So again, I got to give credit to CNN where I got the article from. It says many like Cha, they left their isolated home nation hoping to find freedom and opportunity once across the Chinese border, only to be trafficked by the brokers they hired. One 2019 investigation by the London-based Korea Future Initiative, or the KFI, claimed that tens of thousands of North Korean girls and women were being exploited this way, including some as young as 12. Men far outnumber women in China, largely due to its former one-child policy and families' traditional preferences for sons. Yeah, that kind of didn't come out. That's how it's there, but it just didn't sound right. Human traffickers are reportedly attempting to fill the gap by selling North Korean girls and women, some into marriage while others are enslaved in brothels or made to perform graphic acts on webcams, according to researchers and organizations that help the refugees. So, like I mentioned before with that whole entertainment, yeah, brothels and or webcam girls, basically. So, yeah, interesting. So Shay said that her so-called husband didn't treat her badly, but was required to obey all of his requests. Then, within 8 weeks of meeting, Che became pregnant. She said she didn't want to have the child at first and attempted to induce a miscarriage, but she failed and gave birth to a son. When she first saw her son after the birth, she immediately changed her mind because he was just so beautiful, and just the resonation, just how happy, and she felt very happy, and she was glad that that she was going to be living in China for the rest of her life. Let's see. All right, here's a little side note that I wrote in. So China considers North Korea refugees to be economic migrants and are forcibly deported back to North Korea. I don't know why I said side note, because that was a part of an article. I apologize. Anyhow, I'll keep going back. So I said side note, but it's not a side note. China considers North Korea refugees to be economic migrants and are forcibly deported back to North Korea, where alleged defectors they face imprisonment and sometimes torture or worse. Right, let's get some more music going here. So Chang began to learn Chinese and moved to another village a few years later after giving birth to her son, and she found work as a dishwasher person. Chang said that she was lucky to find a job since many North Korean refugees have zero documents. I mean, it makes sense. So many times work is denied, along with health care, and they can't use public transportation. To get around, Che used a bicycle, but she added, hold on. Apologize for that. To get around, Chang used a bicycle, but she added that she had to really avoid the police in fear of being questioned when always traveling. In addition, she avoided making any people around her angry in fear that they would turn her into authorities. I mean, I couldn't imagine just living like that. I get to look over your shoulder every day. I don't know, I can't imagine. Chang would often say to herself, I live in China, but I don't exist as a person. That's pretty much saying, I'm a slave. Drink. Yeah, I mean, that's a very bold statement. It's a very strong statement. And like I said, to me, she's basically a slave. She can't do anything, has no rights. It kind of makes you wonder, like, leaving North Korea, was that any better? I mean, to be sad of everything that we know that goes on in North Korea, this is unfortunately a step up, in my opinion. When COVID-19 pandemic came, the secret life only got worse since China imposed the zero COVID policy, which stated that residents were required to have mandatory COVID tests and a health code QR in order to enter public places. Well, there goes shopping. When her son's school asked all parents to support proof of negative COVID test results, she had to tell her son's teacher that she was a North Korean refugee. Now, this was kind of just weird because it just goes into that, and then it leads to this to make things even more difficult. China used in many parts of China. In many parts of China, they used face recognition, and basically Chang got very overwhelmed, and she just confined herself to just her home. Yeah, it was good. Like I said, that first sentence was a little weird when I read it, because it was almost like it was leading to like, did the teacher say anything? But it was just like, it just like left like that, and I was kind of like, I don't know, it was just weird. Let's see, these restrictions, however, did expose many other refugees or defectors that were from North Korea, because they all became vulnerable to the violence and punishment. At this point, the only thing keeping Chang in China was her son, who was then 16 at this point. Chang asked her son one day about fleeing to South Korea with her, but he threw a big fit and he didn't want to go. Chang met many other refugees who found another broker to get to South Korea. So with the help of the local church donating enough money that was raised, a group fled once again, and she was part of it. One day in April, she told her family she was leaving, but she didn't tell her son she was leaving. Traveling across the country to China's southern border, they crossed through several neighboring countries and trekking through the Mekong River to Thailand, where they eventually turned themselves into a detention center in Thailand. Interesting. Let's see here. Oh, the scroll got away from me. Let me scroll back down. All right. Traveling. Okay, so this is another one. I took this little portion straight from CNN. She said it was so hot in the detention center that even she had heat rashes. People in the cell were fighting over everything, she said. The hardest thing for us was not knowing when they were going to leave for South Korea. Alright, after some time, finally a South Korean embassy person helped them get organized, and then in late May, she finally arrived in South Korea. Since Chang was from North Korea, she underwent security checks. She spent time at a facility that taught defectors to assimilate into society before her new life began 6 months later. After that time period, she was helped with financial support from the government. She rented a studio apartment, bought appliances like a washing machine and a TV. Local churches helped her obtain basic goods like winter clothes, blankets, utensils, and dishes. When Chang received her South Korean identification card, she said that she has never felt so happy, cried in joy, because she became a South Korean. No, she came to Korea for one thing and finally got it, which was the freedom. I don't know what the heck I typed right there, but I'm glad we made it through it. Chang is planning for her future. She hopes to one day visit China as a tourist with her newly obtained passport so that she could see her son, who she was able to contact through her sister-in-law in China. Let's see, while it can be overwhelming to start from square one, especially in a country with a social stigma against North Korean defectors, she's determined to make it work. And lastly, the article ends with, again, this is coming from CNN directly, says, "I'll face anything and everything," she said. "I'm aware of discrimination against people like me in this society, but no matter how bad that is, it'll be much better than living in China. Then this is actually from an article that was in between some of these articles, but I put this at the end. Since then, and in today's present time, it has become nearly impossible, if not at all, able to defect from North Korea to China, but still harder from China out of the country to another country. And that ends the article. I mean, it's very remarkable. It really is. I mean, I think this is probably like the 6th article that either I've watched via YouTube or read that, pertaining to a defector, leaving North Korea and just their journey through the whole process and how they got to, where they are. And I've watched a lot of things. Go ahead and drink. Things as in videos on North Korea, and just the things that supposedly go on up there. The torture, the famine. I've watched a lot of the U.S. military and at the border with the 3 blue buildings, and how the middle one, has the phone in it where they're always ready to. Well, North Korea never picks up the phone, but the U.S. tries to give them calls periodically so that they could still resolve issues. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's very fascinating. I mean, I know it's very not advised, especially as an American, to travel to North Korea. Believe it or not, I have looked into it. It is possible to still go, but I know with the latest auto case, which was that student from Ohio, he's from Ohio. It was that student from Ohio that became a big, huge diplomatic case and was sent home like a vegetable and then died. All because of he was supposedly stealing a poster from a wall in his hotel that they were staying at when he was there with his class or just as a tour. I forget how it all started. So I know since then it's become much harder for Americans to go over, but you can still technically get to. You just got to jump through a lot of hoops. There's a lot of paperwork. Then you have to find an agency in China that'll take an American to North Korea. So I believe there's like one way in, and it's like one train, and it's like by appointment only, and it's like it's very regimented on everything that happens. Go ahead and drink. Yeah, it would be interesting. I mean, would you go to North Korea? I mean, would you? I know a lot of people are probably like, no, I wouldn't go at all. I don't know why you do. Like I said, I think it's more the fascinating part of it. Hold on a sec. I think it's more the fascinating part of it. The thrill. It's a very, we sort of know what goes on, but I think it'd be a challenge and fun to see exactly what goes on. And a lot of the videos that I watched, it's all the same thing, because like I said, all these tours, they're very regimented on They're strictly showing this. They're strictly showing this. They're strictly letting us see this. Letting you see this. So like every video that I watch, it's the same stuff over and over and over again. Every now and then there's like something a little new over here. Or they go over to a village over here. But 98% of all the videos that I've watched, it's the same routine. Because like I said, it's so regimented of what they want to show you on quote unquote on what they want to perceive that goes on in North Korea. I mean, it's been proven via satellites of things that go on in North Korea, like the prison camps and the torturing, and obviously you just have all the military aspect that goes with it as well. But yeah, North Korea. What can I say? It's North Korea. The mystery state of North Korea. Yep. Alright, we are at the 36-minute mark. I have nothing else planned. Talked a little bit extra about North Korea. I mean, like I said, for me, I think it would be interesting to go to one of those places that you're not liked. See, there's certain places I wouldn't want to go that we're not that Americans particularly are not liked. But I think this is one of those that I wouldn't mind trying to go to. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But I'm just simply saying I wouldn't mind to. Alright, we're just going to leave it at this. Looks like 37 minutes is going to be our mark. Not a super long one like they've been lately. Well, want to do a 10-minute? Want to do a couple 10-minute ones? Let's see. I haven't done anything with my list. Actually, I forgot. My rapid 10-minute topics. I totally forgot to put last week's into the used part. Let's see if I can find the list here. Rapid fire. Alright, we're going to choose one. I'm just going to choose one. I'm not going to play, because we're just going to hit one. Let's see. Let's choose a topic here. What topic do I want to choose? Here we go. Here's the topic. I don't have my 10 minutes marked. Let me get my 10 minutes going here. Let me get some music going again. Or background music. Alright. The topic is going to be, is Las Vegas overrated or not? Alright, let me get the clock going here. Alright, here we go. And the clock, timer, 10 minutes, play, go. Alright. Alright, so the rapid 10 minutes is, we're just going to do one topic, and that topic is going to be, is Las Vegas overrated? The reason why this popped into my mind is because some that know me, I have recently visited Las Vegas within the past year. Last year, June to be exact. Is it overrated? I think it is overrated, but for the right reasons that it's overrated. I mean, it does live up to the hype of it's Las Vegas. There's lots of lights. There's money. There's so much to do. Like, to do everything. If you had the money to do everything, I don't know where to begin to say how long it would be. It could be a month. It could be 2 months. I mean, there's so much. Like, do you want to try every restaurant? Do you want to go to every show? I mean, the shows alone, I think there's probably about 200 different shows. So let's say you do 2 shows a day. You're looking at least 100 days already. So let's just say 30 goes into that. So you're looking at 3.5 months. That's just for the shows. Worst case scenario, let's say you can do 3 shows a day. You're still down to a month. That's just the shows. So, and I'm just guessing there's about 200. There's a lot. I know that for sure. There's a darn lot of shows. Between the shows, restaurants, just the gambling. You could play though. You want to gamble at every slot machine in a casino. If he said all of Vegas, then poof, you'd be there for a century. Yeah, I think it is overrated. It's expensive there too, but at the same time, it's still fun. I would still go in a heartbeat. And I wouldn't go like consecutively. Like I don't want to go this year, and I wouldn't go next year, and I wouldn't go the year after. But maybe like every 5 years, every 6 years, I think Vegas would be a fun output to go to, because there's so much change going on always, between new casinos popping up, old casinos getting destroyed and replaced, that there's always there's the change will always be there. Then there's always attractions that'll be there that have been there for a minute, and then again with it constantly building up, you're gonna find new attractions. So overrated, yes, but I think it's overrated in a good way. All I can say is make sure you have money when you go. If you think you have X amount and X amount is good, times that by another 1. And even still, you won't have enough. But like I said, I visited in last year, June, and it was a very good time. I had an awesome time. Did a lot. Did a lot for the 5 days that my buddy and I were there. And we even had a lot of chill time. But we did a lot. We did a lot for the little time that we were there. There was a couple things that we couldn't do just because of lack of money, or just how the day was planned. It didn't quite work in their favor. We probably could have done a few things more, but I was happy with kind of being chill, doing a thing. I totally forgot which order I'm going in here for the background music. Go ahead and drink. But like I said, you are going to spend money in Vegas. That is the key. And a lot of people think you have to go to Vegas, you have to gamble. You do not have to gamble to still have a ton of fun in Las Vegas. Just because it's known for the gambling, but it doesn't mean you have to gamble. Like I said, there's just so much to see, so many, just places to shop, just kind of walk around and view places, restaurants to indulge in. You're going to pay a penny, but if you're not gambling, then you can kind of pretend to use your quote-unquote gamble money to have some fun with some food, some culinary, event or adventure. Since there's a lot of diversity, a lot of cultured food themes, and who doesn't like food? There's the billions of buffets. See the buffets, the shows, the gambling, the museums, special museums or places. An awesome place was pinball. I forget what it was called exactly. It was this pinball place warehouse that had pinball machines for days. And there was from the very beginning pinball to the modern pinball, and it was an awesome place. We went to the Shark Aquarium Reef in Mandalay Bay. It was a nice aquarium. It was sweet. It was good. Go ahead and drink. That's the other thing, is there's a lot of convention centers. So there's always conventions going on. You know, there could be a convention that you can get into and be a part of it. I know, like, Comic-Con is huge. I know Magic the Gathering or Wizards of the Coast, they do theirs for the Magic of the Gathering. They just had one 2 weeks ago in Chicago. I think you remember, there's a couple podcasts where I talked about I might go, might not go. I mean, I wanted to go to it, but just ended up not falling in the favor of how work was working. And I didn't feel like using any days off for that event. It would have been nice to go, but, you know, it is what it is. But back to Vegas. Yeah, like, you know, like I said, the events. Now they've got the sporting events, concerts, outside of the shows. Lots of walking, so you need lots of water. You need lots of water. Yeah, it's a good time in Vegas. It really is. I enjoyed it. It's gonna be expensive, but just roll with the punches. Have fun. Try not to have a budget, but have a conscious budget. In other words, be a little frivolous, but be conscious of what you're spending. Don't blow your wad in one day, if you know what I'm saying. You know, if you're there for 3 days and you've got $400, don't spend $399 on day one. Don't be that fool. I've known people that have gone on trips and they've done that before. So yeah, to answer the question, is it overrated? I think so. Because there's other destinations in the U.S. that are just as great. You know, just as much fun. Definitely. We're at 30 seconds left. So I'm going to prematurely stop this. And yeah. So there we go. We got the North Korean article, a little bit of sports before that, followed by just one rapid fire 10-minute. We're going to call it good here at just shy of 50 minutes. Any last words? Do I have any last words? I don't think I have any last words. All I'm going to say is, you know the drill. Let's share this. Get this out there. Share it with your friends. Get people in this podcast. Let's go. All right, you know the drill. Thank you for listening to Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans. This is That Exciting Dude.